Hi, I'm Twanna Carter, career and anxiety coach. I coach professional women who are fed up with their anxiety holding them back, and what they want is to overcome doubt and stress to get back on the fast track and excel in their careers. And today, in light of all the anxiety that some people are feeling, we've got so many people getting sick, and you can't turn on the TV, look at Facebook, Instagram, wherever you're looking, that is talking about COVID-19. And for people that already struggle with anxiety, this can be a really, really hard time, right? And for those of you that have kids, you're struggling with your own anxiety, but then you're like, I know my kids are hearing stuff, and I've got to be able to take care of them as well. And then there are many of us that are in the sandwich generation. We're taking care of kids, and we're taking care of elderly parents or grandparents or uncles and aunts. And so this time that we're going through is just a really anxiety-provoking time, anxiety-producing time. So because of that, I decided to come on today and just talk about just a few tips of how to manage your anxiety when you're weathering. It's turmoil. It just seems like a lot of turmoil right now. Some of us are glued to social media, and we're glued to the news, and it just seems very overwhelming at times. It's just like sensory overload. What do I believe? What don't I believe? There's so much stuff that's going around that's the incorrect information, and then you're hearing that stuff too, up on top of knowing that there is an illness that is going around. But then you hear all these crazy things that people on social media are saying. So yes, it can be very anxiety producing, right? And so I just wanted to come on today and just share a few tips about how do you manage, in times of stress. What do you do when your anxiety was already on, just everyday level? You had anxiety, but now you've got COVID-19 and it's just popping up everywhere. I'm not sure that it's hit all 50 states yet, but just looking at it ping across the United States and ping across the world, it really can produce a lot of anxiety. So the first thing that I would definitely recommend that you do is focus on the things that you can control, right? Focus on the things that you can control. That's very important. In my heart, just, I look at the people, seeing some of the pictures in China, and my heart goes out to them. And I know that at the end of the day, as much as that kind of weighs on my heart, I don't have any control over that. So therefore, it's not a good thing for me to focus on China, right? Because I don't control that. I should not, when I say focus, I mean putting all of your energies in. I shouldn't be putting my energies in what's going on in China, because that's something absolutely that I can't control. I can't control it. And so it is about me focusing on the things that I can control. I can control me. For those of you who have kids, you can, to a certain extent, control your kids and, make sure they understand to wash their hands, and making sure they're getting off to school early, and making sure that they're eating every day. Those are things that you can control. Getting to work on time. Okay, most days you can't control that. You got to try real hard sometimes if you have kids, right? And so, but those are the things that you can control. You can't control that. And so it's about going through life and figuring out what are the things that I really can control. Pull those things out and focus your energy there, versus what's going on in China, or what's going on in Italy, and what's going on in France, or what's going on in Nigeria, right? And I understand that some of you will have families in those places, in those countries I just named, but you don't have any control over what's going on. So it is best to focus your control on the things that you can actually control, and it will help reduce your anxiety. Okay. Something else that you can do is remember that this isn't the first time that, our nation is going through trouble. And for those of you that are in other countries, because I know I have a lot of people from about 34 countries, I think we're up to now in my group, Rising Above Anxiety. Remember that you've gone through tough times before. This isn't the first time things have happened and you've had to weather storms. Remember that, right? Remember that it's you know, yeah, I've gone through some things before. It was tough then, it's tough now, but you know what? We got through. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves that it's not the first time. You know, I've been through this anxiety producing state and I'm concerned about my kids and concerned about my family or concerned about my job and concerned about how we're going to eat. But you've gone through tough times before, and guess what? You'll get through this, right? Just remind yourself of that. And something is that's near and dear to my heart. I've been practicing breathing now for about 15 years, I think. The first time I was in a class at my job, because it was a high stress job, and they brought in a social worker and taught us how to breathe, Jefferson County Department of Health. And I remember sitting in the back of that classroom rolling my eyes like, really? That you're paying this lady teach me how to breathe? That's all she's got? And so I was like, well, they're paying me for it. I'm at the job. Why not? And when I tell you in about 2 or 3 minutes after following her breathing, I actually almost fell out of my chair because I went to sleep. The breathing did calm me down. It did reduce anxiety, and I got sleepy enough to actually almost fall out of the chair to catch myself from falling over. So I do say breathe. A number of physiological things are going on when you breathe. On a day-to-day basis, most of us breathe from our chest. So it's just the way we normally breathe. And so when I say breathe, you're talking about breathing, or I'm talking about breathing from the diaphragm, breathing all the way to that diaphragm. And as you, hey, I saw Jasmine pop on. Thanks for popping in. And as you're expanding that diaphragm, you know, you're getting lots of deep air in. You're getting oxygen in, which is good. And that increase in oxygen and that relaxing feeling will help you turn off that fight or flight mechanism. It's the one that, you know, you either stand and fight or you run. So when we're anxious, that gets triggered, right? And you can actually turn that off with deep breathing. Right? And wherever you are, whenever you find the occasion, do find ways to laugh. If you're playing with your kids, it is really good. If you have a pet, you know, you can take your pet for a walk, play with your pet, play with your dog, play with your kids. That laughter, and kids, you know, they will know things are going on around them, but they have this innate ability. They can just ignore all that stuff and just be kids. And that's what you need. Just that release from anxiety of what's going on. Take advantage of it. And so the last tip that I have for you today is, now I would like for you to wait until this is over, you know, the live is over, but tap out of social media. Yes, I did say that. Tap out of social media. Turn it off. Let it go. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of it. Turn it off. The news, turn it off. Radio, turn it off. Turn off everything for a couple of hours. Give yourself a chance to calm down 1,000 and to get out of emotional overwhelm. Because if you're following every news, you know, every news blurb, you know, report that pops up in your email, and everyone that's on Facebook and Instagram, and you're watching the news and they got all these, you know, breaking news, it's emotional overwhelm. Excuse me. It can really create emotional overwhelm. We have a capacity for X amount a day, and when we get all filled up because we have all these things going and it's bad. And some of us already have issues with anxiety, so now you got bad, oh my God. Then we're like, it's like, what am I going to do? It's sensory overload. It's emotional overload. Just turn off the Facebook, turn off the Twitter, turn off the Instagram. Don't look at your email box. None of that stuff. You know, at least for an hour. Try an hour for some of you if you're like, that's going to cause me anxiety. Well, at least try 30 minutes and work up to a couple of hours of turning everything off. I do that quite a bit now. I had to learn to do that during 9/11. Of course, that for me, that was like one of the first huge things that ever happened. And so I had to turn off. I had to realize my kids were younger and they were watching me as I was like trying to turn everywhere and get every piece of drop of news that I could. What I was listening to, they were listening to. So I had to go back and learn how to kind of turn off the radio a little bit, turn off the TV and just turn it to cartoons or turn it to something else. And I invite you to do the same thing. Turn off the social media. it will bring you down 1,000. You will be relieved, but you'll probably be amazed how much better the anxiety is once you turn off some of the things that are triggering you in social media. So those are my tips, just some of the tips I have for you today. This, news cycle, it is like hard and heavy, and it's worldwide. It's not just United States. It's just worldwide as everybody's tracking who's coming down sick next. It can just trigger your anxiety and just make it seem like you're not going to make it. If you just hear one more thing, that's it, I'm done. Well, you're not going to be done. You've weathered things before and you'll weather again. But just, some of the tips I talk about, focus on the things that you can control, right? Remember that you've been through some tough times before and you got through. Breathe from the diaphragm, get that extra oxygen in, let your body just relax, right? Laugh, whether you play with your dog or you play with your kids or play a game or something. Look at comedy, for a moment, go out, bring some comedy things up, joke channel, laugh or whatever. And then finally, tap out of social media altogether for a few hours, and you will be amazed how much better you feel. It won't seem so overwhelming. Now, if you'd like some more tips at how to manage anxiety when things are overwhelming and just in the midst of turmoil, I do have a link. Go ahead and click that link. It will just take you out to my website, and I have some more tips out there, some things that you can do to help you manage anxiety. I do appreciate you all for joining in today for a few moments as I discuss how to manage anxiety when it seems like everything is a turmoil around you. And for those of you who always catch me on the replay again, always thank you. I do appreciate you joining. Take care. Enjoy your evening.